On Skillshare, you can teach what you're truly passionate about. And since you're going to be teaching to a creative community, some of the most popular topics are illustration, graphic design, productivity, and photography. There are some topics that are not allowed on Skillshare, so make sure you check the Help Center for the full list of restricted topics. Now, you might be asking yourself, how do I even choose a topic for my class? Let me give you an example. When I was creating my first class on Skillshare, I knew it had to be about drawing, but I didn't know what about drawing was I going to teach. So to narrow it down, I asked myself, why do I like drawing? What's my favorite part of it? What materials do I like to use? What was something I was struggling with in the beginning that I wish someone had taught me? And I remember that one of my biggest struggles when I was in the beginning of my drawing career was to really find my own voice and my own ideas. And now that I have that kind of more figured out, I understood that the class wasn't going to be about drawing techniques or how to draw better. It was about how to come up with your own creative idea for a drawing. And on top of it, I was going to use my favorite technique to draw, which is using ink pens. And this is how my first drawing class was born on Skillshare. To come up with your own class topic, first think about what you're good at. What are you skilled at? What do you have experience with, even if you never taught this before? Second, ask yourself, what are you most passionate about this topic? What truly motivates you and what made you fall in love with this practice? And third, just put yourself in your students' shoes. Think about when you were just starting out. And this is how you're going to come up with an amazing class topic with your own voice. And even if Skillshare already has a ton of classes on your topic, don't worry because each teacher teaches differently. Each teacher has its own unique perspective and your class is going to be unique in its own way.
Okay, once you've picked your topic, it's important to get specific. Rather than teaching a broad, sweeping skill set, most successful classes actually focus on one specific skill, concept, or project, which is then taught through a series of shorter lessons. And this core element of the class is what's called the value proposition. And it's a lot more than just what you're going to teach your student. For example, you might want to think about, why is this class valuable in a larger context? Who is the class for, or who is your intended audience? And what is this intended audience going to get out of your guided lessons? For my very first class, Yes You Can Draw, I knew from the outset that I wanted to create a class that would leave people feeling creatively empowered, regardless of their skill level. So I thought back to the time when I was a student and my job was to teach art to kids. And I remembered how these kids never ever felt self-conscious about their drawings. They never spent any time questioning whether they were good or bad at it. They just had fun. But somewhere along the way, us adults tend to lose that childlike confidence, right? So I knew I wanted to create a class that would be specifically designed to help people reconnect with their own creative, fearless younger selves. Once I came up with the concept, the audience was actually pretty clear in my mind. Primarily beginners who might have a deep yearning to create and draw but just didn't feel confident enough to pick it up. And while the exercises in the class are fun and a little bit silly, it doesn't mean that they're not packed with super important skills. Like, for example, how to reframe what makes a good drawing, how to identify our strengths, and how to apply them in our own work. When it came time to film my lessons, I really wanted to make sure that all of this was super clearly outlined throughout the entire class. So in my introduction, I mentioned how, as a professional illustrator, I never really lost touch with my 4-year-old self and how that has helped me along the way. I also sprinkled little reminders of what the concept of the class really is about through each lesson, including the outro, because I really wanted students to leave feeling inspired and motivated by what they were able to achieve in the project. So to recap, it's good to keep your value proposition in mind as you develop your class. Add it into your class description, connect it to your class project, and of course mention it into your class introduction.
And now it's your turn. Start thinking about a class topic, focusing not just on what you are teaching, but who are you teaching to, who is your audience, and why would they benefit from learning this thing. Try really focusing on the why over what. Why are you teaching this? Why is this important to you? Why do you think would anyone benefit from learning it, opposed to just what you are teaching? Once you come up with an idea for a topic, I know you're going to start thinking about class titles, but don't worry about that just yet because we're going to look into that a little bit later.